Hey there, lovelies. I can tell that you all have quite the appetite for the Bible and for the words of wisdom. Thank you all for whoever is sticking around this channel. And wow, quite the climax. So, my apologies, you all have missed the evening devotion. Kind of got a little tired and was sleepy. So went to sleep. Sleepy. Anyways, pardon me for that evil laugh. Don't mind it. Don't mind it. So, we're gonna do a double portion. But in this time, we're just gonna start right off. We're gonna begin with. Let's see, what do we got here? With Job 36:2, I have yet to speak on God's behalf. All right, I'm cooking some steak. I'm making sure I gotta get some heat in there on the inside so it'll cook better. Anyways, let's begin so we can have a shorter time period and it can be a little bit more counterproductive, so I don't use up most of you guys' time during the day that your activities start. So start off with Job 36 2. And then we're just gonna jump right into the double portion of this morning. Now we're cooking. Oops, I'm getting sidetracked and distracted, so I'll probably just turn down the heat a little bit, and then I'll turn it back up as soon as I'm done with the feast for the soul this morning. Whew. Lord Jesus is amazing. He is relieving me out of all the idiocies and hideousies, all the filthy sins that I have done. He's the only cleanser. He's the only purger of sin. And man, it feels so much better just to be your normal self time to time. So the Hebrew pronunciation of this name is, and the title is Eliyahu, because it's Hebrew pronunciation. It's sometimes it's hard to determine how to pronounce names, but this is an amazing guy who actually tries to encourage Job and at the same time tell him the words of wisdom and that God has put within his mind and heart in order to explain things a little bit better. Because Job was depressed and everything. So, yeah, sometimes we tend to go off out of our feelings instead of actually thinking with all the members of the body and have the wisdom and knowledge of God in order to speak more accurately instead of continuously spouting nonsense. I will actually explain how sometimes human beings tend to hide themselves, and then once they interact with a certain, let's say, certain relationship status, let's say a guy and a girl sometimes. You know how they tend to stutter and sometimes don't make any sense? So this is kind of like the situation of that. And a little representation of it. So, here we go. Eliyahu extols God's greatness. Extols. It's interesting how it says extols, explains. It's kind of the same as in explains. God's greatness. Kind of the matching of that word. Eliyahu extols God's greatness. Eliyahu also proceeded and said, "Suffer me a little, and I will shew thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf." It looks like he wasn't trying to be arrogant, and he was trying to be calmly and more wise. Suffer me a little, and I will shew thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. Interesting how that sentence is formed. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and I will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my word shall not be false. He that is perfect in knowledge is with thee. Wow. Yep. You all can tell that it's part of the encouragement and feeding of the knowledge of God. For truly my word shall not be false, and he that is perfect in knowledge is with thee. Behold, God is mighty, and despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserveth not the life of the wicked, but giveth right to the poor. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on the throne. He doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters, and be holden in cords of affliction, then he sheweth them their work and their transgressions that they have exceeded. He openeth also their ear to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth them. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. Sounds like what's going on today a little bit. Because people commit suicide because of the ridiculous reasons. Not that the suicide part is ridiculous. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is people come up with excuses like they don't want to live because of that small reason. That's why it's explaining it that way. So I'll read it one more time so you all can actually get a better grasp and understanding of it. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth them, which means binding the wounds, possibly. But again, my speculations don't matter. So let's listen to the Bible. They die in youth. Because when youth means young, they die when they are young. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. Just so much like we have today. He delivereth them the poor in his affliction, and openeth their ears in oppression. Even so would he have removed thee out of the strait into a broad place where there is no straightness, and that which should be set on thy table should be full of fatness. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on thee, because there is wrath. Beware lest he take thee away with his stroke. Then a great ransom cannot deliver thee. Will he esteem thy riches? No, not gold, nor all the forces of strength. Desire not the night when people are cut off in their place. Take heed, regard not iniquity, for this hast thou chosen rather than affliction. Behold, God exalteth by his power. Who teacheth like him? Who hath enjoined him his way? Or who can say, Thou hast wrought iniquity? Remember that thou magnify his work, which men behold. Every man may see it. Man may behold it afar off. Behold, God is great, and we know him not, neither can the number of his years be searched out. For he maketh small drops of water, they pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly. Also can any understand the spreadings of the clouds, or the noise of his tabernacle? Or the noise of his tabernacle? Behold, he spreadeth his light upon it, and covereth the bottom of the sea. For by them judgeth he the people, he giveth meat in abundance. With clouds he covereth the light, and commandeth it not to shine, but the cloud that cometh betwixt. The noise thereof sheweth concerning it, the cattle also concerning the vapor. I have yet to speak on God's behalf. Job 36:2. We ought not to court publicly for our virtue, or notoriety for our zeal, but at the same time, sounds like it's explaining the word notorious, or notoriety. There we go. We ought not to court publicity for our virtue, or notoriety for our zeal, but at the same time it is a sin to be always seeking to hide that which God has bestowed upon us for the good of others. A Christian is not to be a village in a valley, but a city set upon a hill. He is not to be a candle under a bushel, but a candle in a candlestick, giving light to all. Retirement may be lovely in its season, and to hide oneself is doubtless modest, but the hiding of Christ in us can never be justified, in the keeping back of truth, which is precious to ourselves, is a sin against others and an offense against God. If you are of a nervous temperament and of retiring disposition, take care that you do not too much indulge this trembling propensity, lest you should be useless to the church. Seek in the name of him who was not ashamed of you, to do some little violence to your feelings, and tell to others what Christ has told to you. If thou canst not speak with trumpet tongue, use the still small voice. If the pulpit must not be thy tribute, if the press may not carry on its wings, thy words yet say with Peter and John, Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have given I thee. By Sychar's well talk to the Samaritan woman, If thou canst not on the mountain preach a sermon, utter the praises of Jesus in the house, if not in the temple, and a field if not upon the exchange, in the midst of thine own household, if thou canst not in the midst of the great family of men, from the hidden springs within let sweetly flowing rivulets within from the hidden springs within let sweetly flowing rivulets of a testimony flow forth, giving drink to every passer-by. Hide not thy talent, trade with it, and thou shalt bring in good interest to thy Lord and Master. To speak for God will be refreshing to ourselves, cheering to saints, useful to sinners, and honoring to the Savior. Dumb children are in affliction to their parents. Yeah, you heard it. It has said it. Dumb children are in affliction to their parents. Lord, unloose all thy children's tongue. And that was for the evenings. Now this is for the morning. You all can tell. Jehoshaphat made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion Geber. 1 Kings 22:48. First Kings 22:48. Bam, okay. We're just gonna go right off. And it looks like we're saving a lot of time by starting early. Ahab and the false prophets. Oh, sounds like there's a lot of them today that claim to be prophets. Ahab and the false prophets, and they continued 3 years without war between Syria and Israel. Interesting how it mentions it right after scales, because that's probably what's going on today. Today meaning within the now, within the moment, and you name it. Between Syria and Israel. And it came to pass in the 3rd year that Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, came down to the king of Israel. Interesting. Now I'm seeing the whole picture almost. It's like we have leaders today coming together and having many discussions and meetings. And the king of Israel said unto his servants, Know ye that Ramoth and Gilead is ours, and we be still and take it not out of the hand of the king of Syria? Oh, this is gonna be awesome. This is why I'm gonna love the Bible to death until I drop from this earth. Until I drop dead from this earth, because it to me is way more real than just any other books. And that's what makes it fun. Again, you can go and check the maps and everything. It mentions the same names as we have today. Syria. It's possibly also speaking of the leaders instead of kings, right? And take it not out of the hand of the king of Syria. Syria? And he said unto Jehoshaphat, Wilt thou go with me to battle to Ramoth Gilead? And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, I am as thou art, my people as thy people, my horses as thy horses. And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, Inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today. Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said unto them, Shall I go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And they said, Go up, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. And Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord, besides that we might inquire of him? And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, There is yet one man, or Micaiah, I think that's how it's pronounced. Micaiah, the son of Imlah, I think it's Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him, for he doth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, Let not the king say so. Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, Hasten hither, Micaiah, the son of Imlah. And the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, sat each on his throne, having put on their robes in a void place in the entrance of the gate of Samaria. Void means emptiness, pretty much. That's what it means. It's to empty out. In a void place in the entrance of the gate of Samaria, and all the prophets prophesied before them. And Zedekiah, the son of Kenaniah, made him horns of iron. And he said, Thus saith the Lord, With these shalt thou push the Syrians until thou have consumed them. And all the prophets prophesied, saying, Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the king's hand. Micaiah prophesies against Ahab, and the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spake unto him, saying, Behold, now the words of the prophets declare good unto the king with one mouth. Let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which is good. And Micaiah said, As the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. So he came to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we forbear? And he answered him, Go and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. And the king said unto him, How many times shall I adjure thee, that thou tell me nothing but that which is true in the name of the Lord? And he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills, as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord said, These have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, Did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil? Well, it sounds like there's a disagreement and they didn't like each other either. And he said, Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? Oh, this is a great test. It looks like it's a great test. And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. Oh man, this is awesome. God is awesome. Regardless of what other people think. Regardless if people think that I'm crazy. Regardless if people think with different opinions and mock me and scoff at me. I'm still adding all the pieces together within this life. Oh man. Even the voice encourages me. But don't mind my voice. Again, you can call me a crazy, a lunatic, or whatever. But I'm stable enough not to be a lunatic, as you can tell. You can tell within a person's voice. I wouldn't even dare to become a lunatic. But yes, some situations call for desperate measures. But there are no desperate measures at the moment. So, therefore, I'm not in a panic. I'm not in a hurry. So, I'm not unstable, as people will put me as the category of crazy or unstable. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. Doesn't the Lord despise lying? Or I guess it's within the Lord's reach or within the Lord's intent. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Oh, maybe I get it. Oh, I see. It's because they have like such a disagreement that the Lord has advised a plan to do such a thing. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. But Zedekiah, the son of Chenaniah, went near and smote Micaiah on a cheek, and said, Which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee? Oh, interesting. It sounds like almost like Pharisees a little bit. Interesting. And Micaiah said, Behold, thou shalt see in that day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. And he and the king of Israel said, Take Micaiah and carry him back unto Ammon, to governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say that thus saith the king, Put this fellow in the prison, and feed him with bread of affliction and with water of affliction, until I come in peace. And Micaiah said, If thou return at all in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me. And he said, Hearken, O people, every one of you. Ahab killed in battle. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and enter into the battle, but put thou on thy robes. And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into the battle. But the king of Syria commanded his 32 captains that had rule over his chariot, saying, Fight neither with small nor great, save only with the king of Israel. And it came to pass, when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said, Surely it is the king of Israel. And they turned aside to fight against him. And Jehoshaphat cried out. And it came to pass, when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, that they turned pursuing back from pursuing him. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Wherefore he said unto the driver of his chariot, Turn thine hand, and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. And the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at even. And the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. And there went a proclamation throughout the host about the going down of the sun, saying, Every man to his city, and every man to his own country. So the king died and was brought to Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. And one washed the chariot in the pool of Samaria, and the dogs licked up his blood, and they washed his armor, according unto the word of the Lord which he spake. Now the rest of the acts of Ahab, and all that he did in the ivory house which he made, and all the cities that he built, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Ahab slept with his fathers, and Ahaziah his son reigned in his stead. Looks like it's like the guidance towards the reading of that book. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So it's book of Chronicles. Interesting, isn't it? It points you towards the right direction. Jehoshaphat reigns in Judah, and Jehoshaphat the son of Asa began to reign over Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 30 and 5 years old. Looks like 35 years old, we would say, but it's actually Jehoshaphat, or it's saying like 30 and 5.5 or something like that. Jehoshaphat was 30 and 5 years old. Interesting how it's put right there. Or today we would say 35. Jehoshaphat was 30 and 5 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 20 and 5 years. Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting numbers right there. And 5 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Azubah, the daughter of Shilhi. And he walked in all the ways of Asa his father. He turned not aside from it, doing that which was right in the eyes of the Lord. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away, for the people offered and burned incense yet in the high places. And Jehoshaphat made peace with the king of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat and his might that he shewed and how he warred, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And the remnant of the Sodomites, which remained in the days of his father Asa, he took out of the land. There was then no king in Edom, a deputy, was king. Jehoshaphat made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion Geber. Then said Ahaziah, the son of Ahab, unto Jehoshaphat, Let my servant go with thy servant in the ships. But Jehoshaphat would not. And Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father. And Jehoram his son reigned in his stead. Ahaziah reigns in Israel. Ahaziah the son of Ahab began to reign over Israel and Samaria the 17th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 2 years over Israel. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of his father, and in the way of his mother, and in the way of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. For he served Baal and worshipped him, and provoked to anger the Lord God of Israel, according to all that his father had done. Wow. Yep. Solomon's ships. Oh, it looks like Solomon's ships had returned in safety, but Jehoshaphat's vessels never reached the land of gold. Providence prospers one and frustrates the desires of another, and the same business and at the same spot. Yet the great ruler is as good and wise at one time as another. May we have grace today, in a remembrance of this text, to bless the Lord of ships broken at Ezion Geber, as well as for vessels freighted with temporal blessings. Let us not envy the more successful, nor murmur at our losses, as though we were singularly and specially tried. Like Jehoshaphat, we may be precious in the Lord's sight, although our schemes end in disappointment. The secret cause of Jehoshaphat's loss is well worthy of notice, for it is the root of very much of the suffering of the Lord's people. It was his alliance with a sinful family, his fellowship with sinners. And 2 Chronicles 20:37. Then Eleazar the son of Dodava of Marashah prophesied against Jehoshaphat, saying, Because thou hast joined thyself with Ahaziah, the Lord hath broken thy works. And the ships were broken, that they were not able to go to Tarshish. We are told that the Lord sent a prophet to declare, Because thou hast joined thyself with Ahaziah, the Lord hath broken thy works. This was a fatherly chastisement, which appears to have been blessed to him. For in the verse which succeeds our morning's text, we find him refusing to allow his servants to sail in the same vessels with those of the wicked king. Would to God that Jehoshaphat's experience might be a warning to the rest of the Lord's people to avoid being unequally yoked together with unbelievers. A life of misery is usually the lot of those who are united in marriage or in any other way of their own choosing with the men of the world. Oh, for such love to Jesus that like him we may be holy, harmless, undefiled, and separate from sinners. For if it be not so with us, we may expect to hear it often said, The Lord hath broken thy works. Wow. Well, I'll let you all go and figure out the mystery for yourselves. You all are grown up enough. You don't need me around, right? And so, there we go. May you all have an interesting time digesting this. May you all have an exciting time with the Lord and communion with Him within your prayers, with a sincere heart, surrendering your body as a living sacrifice, not the dying sacrifice. There's a big difference in that. Just remember. May the Lord be with you. May He love you according to His will, His plans, and the causes of His virtue, not our own. And once more, get excited. Because we are living in exciting times, regardless of the harm we go through. We can persevere. Trust me, I've done it. I went through my own hardships. But it does not mean that you should give up. Alrighty, ya pansies. I shall see you within this evening's devotion. Well, possibly. Again, I want to be honest with you all. I'll see you when I see you, depending on the time. How about that? Hee hee. Yay. See? Improvements are on the way in this family's channel. Woohoo! Okay, everyone. Stealth Squad out.